Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In War of the Visions, I thought I would give grades to the different game modes as they are now in JP. And I got my script here all written out. People ask me sometimes like what I do to prepare for the videos. For ones like this where I'm not really showing gameplay, I'll often have a script. If it's just like giving a running commentary of fights or just reading the news, then I don't have a script, of course, because I don't need it. So forgive me if I am looking down a lot during this video. But the other day I did a report card for the developers, their performance in JP for the last half year and then the year before that. And people seemed to enjoy that format, so I thought I would kind of extend that and then talk about the different game modes. And then in the developer video, I said that I wasn't interested in hearing folks' like report card for the global version, because I'm able to go to Reddit and look at that. But for game modes, I feel like I do want to hear from everybody here, because they're not that different between JP and global, so any feedback that you got there I would be interested to hear. And what a luxury to have so many game modes in a game. You can just like focus on like what you're good at or what your account is good for, and then if you get bored of a mode you can go play another one and then kind of think in a different way, use different characters. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches that we have with this game. That being said, there's a lot of room for improvement, especially in PvE and co-op, and so I'll also be thinking about the possibilities. And then they just released the new guild quests or guild raids in JP, and I thought, like, you know, in anticipation or in like celebration of this new mode, we could do this video. But I played it and it's pretty disappointing. I thought like you could go in, maybe like a team of 4, and then there's like 4 different players, each controlling a character to fight a really hard boss. But no, it's not that. They have a list of bosses, and then you make a team of 5 and you go fight one of the bosses, you take away some of the HP, your turns run out, and then one of your guildmates can go into that boss and then do more damage to them. So you're just taking turns fighting them solo bosses. And yeah, it's not what I was hoping. Okay, but first, let's talk about PvE overall. Story, I'll give it a B-. I don't personally have super high expectations for stories in mobile games, but the one in War of the Visions is good enough. And like a lot of Japanese storytelling, it's very focused on the characters, and then there's not a lot of kind of world building, or like even like showing the world or like other people in the world. This is fine for a slice of life stuff if we're already familiar with like what everyday life is like in a certain setting. But War of the Visions is a big story that takes place a long time ago, with lots of kingdoms fighting each other. And so I want more history, mythology, and maps. I bring this up every now and then, but good maps that we could look at in detail at any time, I think would really improve the story and then the overall experience of the game. I'm nearly at the point where I want to start drawing them myself. Okay, next PvE game mode is Tower. We'll give it a B+. I like it a lot, and I had fun the last time it came around, and I'm looking forward to when it comes next, because I want to try out all these new level 120 characters that I have. But I don't love Tower, and I'm trying to pin down why. I'm okay with it being every few months. I'm okay with the needing to go through multiple times in order to get coins to get the rewards. And I'm okay with the rewards being sort of tied to the experience. But I think what I don't like are the enemies, like the real generic type of enemies. And that's kind of a problem that I have with the game across the board. When I go into a battle and I see a bunch of generic guys, my motivation just kind of drops. And I much more enjoy like fighting other story characters like Eride or Vineta, or like big bosses like espers or big monsters, whatever. There are some floors of the tower that are like that, and I enjoy those more than the ones that are just, you know, random thieves, random ogres, whatever. I like the dragons from Final Fantasy V, I think it was. I'd like to see more like legacy or old school enemies. Okay, selection quest, A+, maybe that's not a surprise. But I love these, and now global players have experience with them, so I'd be interested to hear how you like selection quests in particular. I've said this before, but usually content focused on Lower rarity units is slow, boring, and crappy. But in War of the Visions, it might be the best content in the game, which is amazing. That's really spinning gold out of straw. And really one of the most impressive game mode implementations I've ever seen in a mobile game. Yeah, just the viability of non-UR units across all game modes is pretty amazing. So it means that they were very focused on balance, even considering the non-top tier units. But selection quests are great for a number of reasons. They're challenging without being frustrating. They make you think in new ways because you're using units that you don't usually use. And they stress the importance of vision cards and equipment crafting, and the quests reward the players that worked on those, and players like to be rewarded for what they've put effort into. And then they offer the only unique rewards in the game outside of the tower, rewards that are units like Muraga or Gargus. And they are doable by free-to-play users in theory, and then you can kind of modify the difficulty yourself by choosing to attempt the missions or not, choosing to EX your MR and lower rarity units or not. And they can be pretty intense and pretty challenging too, maybe even more than anything in Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre. Okay, next, Brutal Quests. I'll give these a B. I like these in theory, but I never actually play them. When I farm for equipment, I'll just put together a random strong team, and then I'll put like espers on them that I want to farm with them, and just do the lower difficulty one. I like the Brutal Quests in theory, because it's a chance to play like solving the puzzle, working on your AI of your guys, so that they can farm that higher difficulty on auto battle with anybody dying. And that's its own kind of gaming satisfaction. But I get that fix from like raids and arena, so I can save my like in real life energy just by farming the lower rarity of the Brutal Quests. Okay, and then there's the, I guess we'll call them the level 115 quests. But I think maybe this is new to global as well. There's the Kraken one going on. I'm going to give these a C+. I also like these in theory, because this is the high difficulty manual play stuff that hardcore players like. But again, I go in there and I see generic wizards and generic wolves, and all the motivation just drains out of me, and then I go back and I farm the lower difficulty one. But like in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, you would have limited time bosses like Kain from Final Fantasy IV, and he had totally unique attacks and attack patterns, or like original bosses for Halloween and Christmas, and those were super fun, and then they were limited time, so you kind of, you felt some fire in your belly, like wanting to beat those soon. But with the high difficulty quests in War of the Visions, it's often just overwhelming numbers of just generic guys, and I'm like, come on. Any boob can make something that's really hard, just throw more guys in there. But it takes real creativity to make something that's challenging and unique and fun. And I think we can expect that from like pros, veterans of Square Gumi. Alright, next, Trials of Reckoning, C-. I do not like these at all. I like, again, the solving the puzzle, fine-tuning your team for the auto battle. But I don't like that it's often tied to collaboration, so you need the collaboration units to get the best bonus. And this wouldn't be so bad, except it factors in every vision card and unit that you use, so you want to use more of those collaboration stuff. And so you can't really use the units that you want to, like I do, like when I want to farm the easy quests in order to raise the Esper Resonance, or just raising their base levels if it's a new unit. And it takes an obscene amount of farming, and then I never like the system where there's like tickets, and then like boss tickets, and then a gacha, and you gotta pull that thing and go through boards or wipe out whatever it is. It's a very clunky experience. I did it for the ribbon because it was the first one, right? The first Trial of Reckoning, and I didn't know any better. And then the ribbon's really good, but for every Trial of Reckoning after that, I've skipped them mostly. Okay, 3-star Esper fights, A-. Another one of my favorite modes in the game, but gets the minus for being a little bit too easy. I look forward to the future final mega hard versions of the Espers, like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius trial level difficulty, where possibly you need an encyclopedia in order to know all the boss phases and thresholds and attack patterns. And then if they also made the maps and terrain more of a factor, that would be fun too. That goes for all modes. Alright, so I think that's all the PvE modes. Overall, I'll give PvE a B+. It's pretty good, but there's lots of potential for better, deeper gameplay. Again, this game is still young. Once we get to the 2-year mark and beyond, I think we can start demanding more robust PvE modes. But more maps, like terrain and environment stuff. Win conditions other than kill everything, that would be great. Like capture the flag or whatever, keep this character alive. And then more of the level 115 required content, but with better enemies. Limited time bosses would be amazing, I would love that. And then more interesting and or more nostalgic monsters. Okay, next let's talk about the PvP modes. Arena, I'll give it an A. I can't think of anything to improve it. This is my favorite PvP mode. I love experimenting with new units or strategies. I love taking down the new meta-defining units with my older units. When a new meta-defining unit comes out, some people feel like the pressure to pull that unit and then keep up. But the way I look at it, I see those new units as the new boss of PvP, and it's my job to take my existing resources and try to take them down. Keeps the game fresh. And then I love, it's like, again, the simulation game idea where like I'm the general and I have my roster of teams and I send them out against particular enemies, and then seeing how my strategic thinking is translating to wins. And then aiming for like top 30, which I've only done twice because it's so exhausting, but it's such a unique experience. You're like on high alert for an entire week and you're waiting for the right moment to strike. It's very unique and very fun too. Okay, Guild Battle, B+. I give it a lower grade just because I don't enjoy playing it myself. But the impression I get is that it is the most popular PvP mode among JP players. I personally like Arena more because you get greater freedom with team building and opponent selection. But Guild Battle can get pretty exciting with the guild communication and then close matches. And I think in my case, I just had to cut some modes out of my gaming routine because I can't do everything, nobody can do everything. And Guild Battles were unfortunately one of the things that were cut. But in how well they are implemented and how popular they are, they get a good grade. Alright, next, Class Match, B+. Kind of a similar story here. This is another one of the modes that I just had to cut out because I can't do everything. But I admire this mode for having the manual play option, and that's really good for the very hardcore players. Of the 3 PvP modes, this is the one that I like the least, because it's the least free in terms of opponent selection, and that can really influence your team building as well. Not super popular in JP to play, but it's the basis for matches and tournaments shown on the official channel and various YouTube channels like Asarotol's. So they're very popular as something to view. Okay, PvP in general, A. The game gets an A for the variety of modes and how robust each mode is. The game has come this far and been this successful on the back of PvP and the solid experience there. Fans of PvE and co-op don't get as much love, but hopefully that improves. From the developer's point of view, I think it was the right choice to focus on PvP first, because in the early part of the game, everybody's working on their account, and then they're all sort of similar strength. And so to pit them against each other, rather than building content, PvE content for every level of account is smart. I mean, you think about like why the 3-star esper fights took too long to be released. It's because nobody's accounts were ready for them. It's also why we don't have the ultimate esper fights, because again, nobody's account are ready for them. One thing I would like to see are 3-on-3 class matches, but each player is controlling one unit, so you got 6 players together in one fight. I can't imagine how hard this would be to implement, but that would be something to look forward to. It could be maybe limited to guilds, so that you could communicate like in-game when making teams or thinking about tactics to go against the other team. And also, if there were more options to view other members' fights on PvP, I think a lot of players would appreciate that. We know from how popular those live streams and then the other tournaments held by players. Yeah, people do want to see that. It's good for the entertainment and also to get ideas for your own teams and your own account. And I'm kind of this way too, but some people can't believe something until they see it with their own eyes. And then watching especially high-level players do their thing can be very educational. For guild battles, it might be tough to do this because part of the strategy of guild battle is like hiding what you're going to do, or like deception. So to just open it up, I think maybe it would not be so great for them. Alright, and then finally let's talk about co-op, which frankly doesn't really exist in War of the Visions. But we can at least talk about the potential. I did talk about what guild raids could have been, but they're not. But I'll give the overall grade to co-op D- because it barely exists. It's just like multiplayer raids and then multiplayer brutal quests. But here, this will give me a chance to talk about raids. Raids, I give an A. That's another one of the content that I like very much in the game. And I've always liked them, and I think I've always liked them more than most people because I had the right idea about them from the beginning. Playing it just a little bit, I could tell immediately that the UR equipment was, to make the +5 anyway, was meant to be a long-term thing. But you just had everybody whipping each other up in global, talking about how like you gotta make the +5 or it's not worth doing. And then you had a bunch of players kind of fall for the hype and then play way outside of their comfort zone and learn to hate raids and learn to hate multiplayer, maybe hate the game and even quit the game. And I was here in my little corner, you don't have to do it now, but everybody was doing it right away. But I really didn't go hard in the raids like the first full year or something. I was just getting like maybe the +2s or even just skipping the raids completely. But then I had that epiphany finally, where I could put together a team in order to solo auto level 100 myself. And then it was like, this is the end game as far as raids. This is what people should be aiming for. And then the multiplayer rooms, they're really just for like new players with weak accounts, or it was for people during that first year that wanted that +5 equipment right away. But like a solo auto party was not possible at that time. Another thing that I like about raids, in contrast to the Trial of Reckoning, is that I can farm any quest, I can use anybody, I can level whatever I like, and just get appearances of the raid. And so I feel like I'm multitasking. And then actually, if there's an event where like, I've been lazy for the week and I just haven't been playing it, the raid can give me the motivation to go farm that thing that I've been ignoring up to then. So yeah, it feeds off of itself. I really like raids. And it's probably overall the content that I have played the most consistently. There might be even times when I'd like take breaks from the game, but raids, I'll come back for all of those and then do those, get some nice UR equipment, and then I can use my Dark Slash team over and over and over and over again. Okay, so that is my report card for the game modes of War of the Visions. There is a lot to like. I think if you are not into PvP, maybe the game is kind of feeling like it's lacking. But hopefully that's coming in the second year and beyond, when everybody's accounts are more powerful, and then hopefully there's more co-op, multiplayer, and then we can do more modes, either PvP or PvE with that. Okay, let me know what you think about the different game modes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.